Okay. Just wanted to go over a bunch of new stuff for the season. New things have happened, new stuff's come out, and there's a few new link runes and whatnot. I've already made one video on it, but I've had enough people ask me for updates for seasonal and whatnot that I figured I'd go ahead and show people. So, when it comes to your skill tree, I'm testing a few things out here. This isn't the normal build, but we can at least show you the Abysslings here. So for the most part, we used to use Sacred Devotion and attach it to our Mark of Focus. Because Mark of Focus has had such a nerf to the cooldown, you can either build your build around using Mark of Focus again, which will require you to get the new Authority, Acubin, put it on your helmet, and build around that, so that you can get the cooldown on this as low as possible. But with the new change to the way Gather Minions works, and the fact that you can gather them around you, pretty much every screen of minions, or every screen of enemies, makes it so that you might want to change up how you do things. So, let's go over the Javelins first. If you're new to the game, or even if you're a veteran, you may not have all the skill runes. Some basic stuff on the tree that we won't really go over that's apparent is Shout of Justice. We all know what that does. And if you don't, you attach it to activate buff upon inflicting crowd control, and it's going to get you out of crowd controls, heal you a little bit, and get rid of all the status effects. So pretty powerful. And then we attached a lot of stuff to Tenacious Regeneration here. We have it cast every time we're getting hit, increased duration, time acceleration, vitality recovery. You could use any defense enhanced rune you want here. It does not have to be vitality recovery. So for most minion builds, you're either going barrier or HP. If you're going barrier, it's going to be a little bit different. If you're going hit points, go ahead and go for the Tenacious Regeneration. You will like it. So, normal minion setup using the Unite Crowd, Sacred Devotion, Mark of Focus, and you rely your entire build around these abilities along with the gathered minions. For Awakenings, if you want maximum damage, go ahead and awaken these to enhance the runes. But I wanted to go for maximum speed and clear, just kind of overall fun, so I went with the movement speed for my caster. That's going to be the Verity. All seals and all auras need to be awoken with Origin if you want them to be able to be used by your minions. And for Sacred Devotion, every awakening is good, so you gotta pick what you're building. For me, I wanted to do maximum damage and know what the maximum damage a minion can do, so I went with the +2 to stages. So if you go with the +2 to stages, you get the most damage amp. Only problem with that is that it's kind of hard to get to the max stages, especially in raids and high-end content. You have to move a lot, so investing a lot into this or doing this, you may not get to this max stages all the time. So the other awakenings for it are just fine. Mark of Focus, the best awakening used to be Source, and I would have recommended this one before, but the 100% cooldown reduction could be slightly better than this one is now. So let's go ahead and take a look at which one that one is. So this used to be the best one, but now we have this Origin, and the 100% skill rune cooldown recovery speed may be a little bit better. I haven't done this one yet, but this may allow you to start using it like we used to, where you're either whirlwinding and attaching it to your targets, or you're just channeling and it's always going up. Aside from that, you have Whirlwind in the build here, and you use the Javelin Abyssling. So this is a Whirlwind build. We're testing something out here. Usually you're going to add more things to your Whirlwind. You're going to add, I'll put a link up here to show you the best links. So back to the minions here. We're about to awaken this, and then we'll be able to do a little bit more regen. But a lot of how everything works, including how the awakening is on the minions with the HP amplification, it all revolves around how the build works here. So our build is heavily built around hunkering down, having the minions do a lot of damage based off us channeling for as long as possible. And to do that, we've had to build around increasing our minions' HP and survivability as much as possible. So we're a full crit build, and to remove a find weakness, what I ended up doing was just switching my unity to origin, and that allows for each minion to give an Abyssling crit rate per minion. And I noticed that when I tested on the test dummy, that our crit rate was going through the roof with this, and it was just enough to push find weakness off the table. So if you need to, that's a good option for you, or you can recraft your gear for it. So this is pretty basic. When you make a minion build, you're going to attach most of the minion rings to it. And if you're doing a hit point type build, you're going to do a lot of what you see here. Enhanced effect, this is going to help all of your auras, pretty powerful. And dampen resource if you can get from the guild. It's going to affect all of your seals, and including your devotion or channel. So go ahead and try that out. A few other setups you can do is you can set up Sacred Devotion with a different spell. If you're using elemental minions, you can go with something like Plague Spike to get the elemental dampen. For a person who's only going to be using channeling, if you don't use Whirlwind, because you don't have these links and whatnot, go ahead and attach Gather Minions to it. Every single time you put down a totem or anything like that, the moment you hit your channeling ability, Gather Minions will appear around your summoner. Pretty big boon. Anyway, new test that we're trying here. You'll see that Whirlwind is attached to the chains. So first off, let's give an explanation of what's going on with Whirlwind here. So you're using channeling enhancement and Whirlwind to make yourself slightly more tanky so that you have time to regen your hit points up and do damage to the creature. So let's go ahead and show you how that works. With Whirlwind, once you make it legendary, your attack speed and your movement speed go up because the dampening goes down. And over here, you're able to awaken it so that you get damage taken dampening. So if you get that 15% dampening there, be a really big deal, and make it so that with all the other interactions here, you're going to take a lot less damage. So there's the first interaction you have. Second interaction for your damage reduction is your channeling enhancement. So as soon as you get channeling enhancement, you take that to legendary, and you get 5% damage dampening, plus another 2.2 right here at level 1. Down here, you can get even more damage taken dampening while channeling. So this is because your minions are doing so much damage, and especially for clearing, nobody really wants to sit there and use Sacred Devotion. So sitting here and channeling like this with Sacred Devotion, this is kind of a pain. It does the most damage in the game for minions, because the amp is insane. But for finishing your build, you definitely need something that allows you to get the shard mirrors faster and allows you to grind as fast as possible. So what better than using something like Whirlwind? And the speed on Whirlwind's pretty quick too. So the end goal here is how do we make Whirlwind useful so it's not just a meme with your minions? And the best way to do that is to attach some powerful things to Whirlwind. So I've already showed you what the attachments will be in the end, and let's show you why we use some of those attachments. So the defensive ones make sense, and they're apparent. So we'll go over the ones that aren't the defensive ones. First off, Grand Approach. This doesn't seem at first like you'd want to use it on a minion person, because it's just giving you damage amplification and whatnot, but the regeneration effect is pretty powerful. 3% and then an additional 1%. So you're getting 4% HP regen, and you're a hit point build. So this can be detrimental to your character and how fast you're able to regen, whether or not you need hit points to regen, etc. Or not hit points, but potions. Being able to remove potions from the equation can be a big deal. So you can use that. There's a bunch of different combinations you can add onto it. One of the best, I think, is adding Fighting Spirit here, just because the physical damage dampening adds so much more survivability to your build. Elemental damage dampening once you do the legendary. Now, the stacks are pretty powerful, I think, if you're going to do the awakening, but a lot of times things like this are going to be your final awakening you'd ever do on your build. So we'll go over some of the more powerful runes. You go over here to the green runes, go and attach to your Whirlwind. Cut. And we're going to go more into the Whirlwind aspect of this build here, because that's the one that gets asked the most from me. And I've already gone into all the interactions of how kind of minions work in many previous videos. So if you want to, you can always check those out and kind of see why we go Javelin Abysslings to begin with for maximum damage. And then also why we use the link runes we do on them. But if you want to figure out kind of how the Whirlwind works with the minions here, that's what we're going over more in this video. So right here, cut. Attaching this to the Whirlwind, it makes it so that you're actually doing something for your minions. So you can leave this at level 1 if you want. Once your build's finished and you're at the maximum gear, you may want to level all of your gems up, including stuff like this, because your character will start doing damage as well. Anyway, the main effect of cut is the 25% chance, which this happens very often, even if you don't have a lot of hit rating. When you're first whirlwinding, you're going to see a lot of misses, and you're going to think that you're not ever going to hit, and it's not really working. It is. And if you check, especially against the target dummy at level 140 plus, or once you go to level 140, you'll see that you hit it and you debuff it way more than you're thinking. So the 25% chance to cut happens pretty much all the time. It's going to movement speed dampening and allow you to do the damage amplification. It's a big rune. Very powerful for when you're doing your whirlwind. Next thing. We already went over the enhancement and whatnot. So next things you can do is you can convert the damage of the whirlwind, add yourself extract energy and whatnot. Extract energy is a pretty big boon. If you don't know what extract energy does, it allows you to extract energy from the opponent or from the ability that you're using. And in this case, you're using whirlwind, so you're getting physical damage decrease. So this makes you even more tanky. Anyway, the interaction I was trying a minute ago actually was just using illusion hook with the whirlwind to do something new I was trying. Let's just show you real quick kind of what the goal was here, and we'll show you in a different way. So in this case, Sacred Devotion's already giving us the amp. So if let's say you're on a boss and you want to get the Sacred Devotion a buff up, but you also want to have maximum damage going out with Sacred Devotion. So you have a few options. You can build to where you actually get the benefit from the electricity debuff, and maybe you're using the fire rune knight. So your only way you're going to get shock is going to be through using some kind of electricity move that you're channeling out. But with the new changes to the way things work, especially with the change to shock and how you need to be able to do a lot of shock damage, that's going to be hard for minion masters to do. And one of the big reasons why is because on our Zodiac tree, a lot of minion people know that one of the strongest things to do is to eventually hit stat transfer for the minion critical damage. And this 20% minion damage amplification is massive, but 50% damage dampening for you makes it so that, hey, my shock debuff's always going to be pretty low. So to get around that, what I've kind of come up with here is I'm going to move over to the illusion hook. And the test here was just to see, hey, if I wanted to not use whirlwind in my build anymore, and I just wanted to just be a channeling person, because a lot of people that I talk to, they don't have all of these things set up. They can't use whirlwind right now. They don't have grand approach. They're not able to make effect of any of the dampening from it because they want to awaken their minions to be a minion person first. Who wants to really go and awaken whirlwind when you're trying to be a minion person, correct? So something to get around that, and you can kind of awaken something later, is I was trying out illusion axes. It's not the coolest looking thing when you're first trying it out. Hold on a second. Let me just make sure that it's on here. Here we go. Illusion axe. Not illusion axe. Illusion hook. Sorry about that. Illusion hooks. So with illusion hooks, if you see here, while you're channeling and your minions are shooting off, you're able to get the disturb effect constantly up, and the cut effect. So as creatures are trying to go towards you, or the boss you're fighting is there, constantly channeling, you're just going to get the cut effect up, and you're going to get the disturb effect while you're doing your channels. Another big thing for this is what Illusion Hook can become. So Illusion Hook, once you max it out, you're getting a pretty good disturb effect here. But on top of that, we can awaken for source. So this will allow you to do damage, kind of like Boreals. And when I say Boreals, I'm talking about the Relic's curse. You get the 15% damage taken by pain target amplification. So this interaction will allow you to get pain up on your target, disturbed up on your target, and the cut effect up on your target, all while channeling into your minions for extra damage. Yes, you do have to be close to the target for this, but to be fair for that, a lot of the abilities that you can awaken, including your minion mark of focus, this all relies on you being close to your target anyway, 500 range within the caster. So, is this a powerful interaction? It can be. And have I actually checked out the pain effect version of it? I have not. So I haven't awakened Illusion Hook. I did see that it was possible. And when I seen that we could just sit there and channel and get the cut effect and Illusion Hook up, pretty big single target damage. AoE damage too, once you're tanky enough to actually stand there. So by that measure, may want to awaken Sacred Devotion for the different awakenings that it can do. So instead of using the 2 stacks, because you're probably just going to jump up, channel for a few seconds, get the debuff up, and then get out of there. You might even keep Whirlwind on the bar and Whirlwind out of there. You can go ahead and awaken your Devotion for a different awakening here. I don't know why I don't see it here. There it is. So instead of doing the +2 stacks, this gives you a good reason for the resource cost dampening, especially because activating and deactivating a lot, it's a lot of resource, and get the regeneration effect, or just do the damage taken dampening here. Make you a lot more tanky. Anyway, that's what I wanted to go over with a lot of people. Just wanted to show people that there was a few new interactions I hadn't really thought about before. This one being one of them that is pretty cool for the channeling ability. Before I used to use things like Charge Release, Chain Lightning and whatnot attached. Used to attach the Mark of Focus to it. But since Mark of Focus has been changed, don't really like to use that. And since Shock's been changed, this is just 30% damage amp without even leveling or even doing something different. So hopefully that'll help people make a decision on things. Beforehand, we were already getting the amp with Whirlwind, so sticking with the Whirlwind build is still good as well. In the last of the video here, not really going to go over the build too much. We're going to go over the crafting. I will show you the Zodiac real quick for the Whirlwind build, just if people are wondering. So, do it really quick, and you can go ahead and screenshot whatever that you want here. And this is for speed grinding. We're not trying to build for tank, not trying to build for too much survivability or anything. Everything that is done here is just for some damage to the minions and to allow them to live long enough to do and kill everything I need while I'm just whirlwinding past. In fact, a lot of times when doing this build, I won't even use a staff. I'll just use the Ganita's axe and the fishing hook still, because whirlwinding with them is pretty enjoyable. Speccing out of the bleed rate here, pretty good idea if you want to keep some tankiness, because this doesn't affect you too much while you're mapping. I did stick with the dodge disabled, but with how things have changed, you want to figure out a way to not use the dodge disable and maybe go a little bit more dodge into your build. And just because we're doing a whirlwind, I really like alert movement. So, more of a whirlwind speed build here. For crafting, crafting is the last thing to go over for a lot of people. A lot of people get confused on how that works. One thing to note, The old staffs of the previous season, you were able to go max Abyssling summon count, Abyssling attack speed, and then minion damage amplification. These were the best stats. And then you would reroll things like Rune Knight hit rate into critical damage for your minions, etc. No longer can you do this. Minion damage amplification doesn't seem to roll on the wands, and it doesn't seem to roll on the staffs anymore. So when you roll one of these, you're going to be rolling for just minion damage on it, critical strike chance, and speed. Aside from that there, a few things that you can do. You can either go for the fire, the enhanced skill rune effect here. You can go for +1 to minions. And this just lets you summon an additional one out. Or you can go for the clouds and rain one that just came out, and that allows you to decrease the attack enhanced skill, and that lets you get your mark of focus up more often. When you're crafting your gear, understand that minion abilities reroll into minion abilities. So minion attack speed here. If you needed to get more crit, because your crit's not at 100% yet, if you have minion attack speed on your gloves, you can go ahead and reroll this into minion crit rate. Another thing to think about with that is that goes with anything. So if you have HP recovery upon Abyssling death, you can reroll that into minion crit damage as well. That's how you get the maximum damage in this game, is you search for all the little pieces of gear that you have. And every time it rolls minion on it, anything, go ahead and just take it over to the craft. Make sure it's not something you're going to use. Because if you get a perfect chest, you get a chest that you really like, something better than this, and then down at the very bottom here, your water chest rolls. When the Abyssling dies, you get HP back. Go ahead and just keep that and reroll it to minion crit damage. That's going to be the highest damage you can get. Same with your helmet. If on your helmet, you use a hybrid helmet and you get the minion HP on it, you can reroll minion HP for critical rate. So the way to get the highest stats for your minions is to get things like defensive minion stats on your gear and re-roll that into offensive stats that it usually wouldn't be on that gear to begin with. And that'll be the crafting bench at the alchemy. Last thing to do, your charms. I recommend, if you can find charms that are like minion damage attack speed, go for it. But the stronger option is always going to be HP and minion attack speed. This allows you a lot more leniency with your build, getting HP from your charms and getting the attack speed from your charms. Especially because minion damage amp is amazing, but the minion damage you get from the charms is a little bit lower than the benefits from the HP. So that's just how I do it. Last thing is relics. A lot of people ask about relics. The way I do your relics is probably Castor or Acubin first, depending on your needs. If you need more crit and you want to see how your crit build works early on, go for Acubin. But Castor should probably be your next one because the minion HP, the skill rune level, and the damage is amazing. The last option can be a curse that you like, such as Boreal, where I'm trying to get the physical damage amplification and the bleed chance. And I also like the HP that you gain on it. Or you can go more for a passive. And what was a passive that I seen here? I believe it was Leo. And something like this would give your Rune Knight more HP and transfer the damage to your Rune Knight. So 100% based off what you're feeling like, but the two that you do need to go for if you're a crit minion build is Castor and Acubin. These both are very powerful for your minions. The third one is an up in the air. I believe that's pretty much the main things to go over for the minions there. I just wanted to let people know how to recraft your gear for the minion critical damage and whatnot. What kind of gear gives you minion stats. So if you're having a hard time rolling minion stats on your gear, you probably can't. So make sure it's a hybrid piece of gear, meaning that armor barrier. If you're a dodge build, dodge barrier will do the same thing. So if you get armor barrier, some kind of hybrid armor, that'll allow you to roll minion attack speed, minion critical rate, minion critical damage on the gloves. As for the authorities, the Mirazetti authority, water, that allows you to get minion damage amplification, as you see here. But the new one, I believe, Acubin, the clouds and water, I think, that one's going to allow you to get minion damage and minion damage to elites as a suffix. So it's based off how you want to build and then what authority you're lucky enough to get. I don't think there's too much more to go over for that, so I just wanted to give an update on that. Main thing was kind of letting people know the interaction with the illusion hook that I thought was pretty cool, and then how an efficient way to make the Whirlwind minions is going to work for yourself, then what to awaken. Okay. Go over some more stuff later, and I'll show everybody the seasonal character here soon.